Hey everyone, I'm Melanie from Streamline Legal, where we help law firms get the most out of their practice management software. And I'm super excited to be here today. For those of you that follow us very closely, you might have noticed we haven't done a live video in a while. In fact, it's been a little bit over a month since that time. And I am super excited to be back and talking to you today about how a tornado tested our systems. And it's really a testimonial today. Today, I'm talking about an experience that I had about a month ago and how it really impacted our business. And so it begins with a tornado. About a month ago, there was a tornado in the town I live in, and it was a pretty serious tornado, flattened a number of homes. And so when we heard the tornado alarms go off, we live in the Midwest, and so it was 11 o'clock at night. I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, and so my husband and I went to grab the kids and head down to the basement, as we've done a number of times before. In the Midwest, this is not necessarily unusual, especially in the spring and the summer. And so we grabbed the kids. My daughter, who's 8, is a very heavy sleeper, and she sleeps in a loft bed. So it was a bit of a challenge to get her out of that bed and down to the basement. And so as I'm tugging on her and, telling her to wake up and trying to get her out of the bed, she starts climbing down the ladder, and I just grabbed her and I just went and I started carrying her down the stairs. Again, she's 8, she's large. And so I started walking down the stairs to the first floor. Everything was fine. Walked downstairs to the basement. On the very bottom step of the basement stairs, I slipped and still don't know how exactly that happened. But I fell and she was fine. And I, got her off of me and she walked over to the other side of the basement and noticed that my leg was not in the right place, not to get into too much detail, but obviously I'd broken it. And so I quickly called the called the ambulance. They came over, told us that they could not take me to the hospital because we were in the middle of a tornado. The tornado was touching down. And so we had to stay, they had to shelter in place with us in the basement. And we did that and we stayed. It was probably about 15 minutes, but when your ankle is broken, it feels a lot longer. So eventually they finally gave me some drugs and got me on the stretcher and got me up the stairs and took me to the ER. And I have to tell you, sitting in that ER, it's a miserable situation, of course, but I have to tell you, all I felt was gratitude because as soon as they dropped me off, the ambulance went and got tornado victims and the ER was starting to fill up. I got a room because I got there so early, but the hallways were starting to fill up with tornado victims. And the guy outside of my room was talking about, he had a head injury and he was talking about how the people, the emergency response people were still trying to find his daughter and his wife because in all the rubble. He said they were hiding in the bathroom from the tornado and just in a split second, the house just collapsed. And so I just was sitting there thinking about how, my family was safe, my house was intact, I had a house to go back home to, and a lot of these people didn't. So it was a miserable experience to have to break an ankle, but a great way to just have that gratitude swell up inside of me because of hearing this guy's story and many others that were there as well. So eventually I left the ER, they casted it up, I left, x-rayed it, went and saw the orthopedist. Actually ended up having to have reconstructive surgery on my ankle. This is my first day back in the office, super excited to be here. And so throughout this experience, obviously after surgery, I was on a lot of heavy drugs, wasn't able to work very much, slowly got better and better, less and less drugs, more and more work, and was able to really join back with my team. But there was a good 3 weeks at least or more where my team really had to fend for themselves without me and had to make sure that the business kept going, right? For their salaries, for my salaries, for the sake of our clients, for all kinds of reasons that we needed to keep this business running. And so I wanted to talk to you today specifically about that experience and the power of the system as an owner, right? So here I am, and thankfully throughout this 3-4 week period that I was unable to work or only able to work a small amount, we had systems in place. And thankfully, I was not the only one that sells new clients, new services to our clients. I am not the one that bills and collects the money for our clients. I'm only one of 4 people that, works with our clients and provides services to our clients. And so as a result, the business was able to keep going without me while I was unable to work. My clients were well served. My team was well served. Obviously they had to pitch in a little bit more than usual, maybe to make up for, the client meetings that someone had to step in and take for me. Some of the things that had to be rescheduled. But on the whole, the business kept going. And in fact, we had a better month this month than we had the previous month. And so it just goes to show the power of the system, not just for me as an owner, to know that I can take the time I need to recuperate and I can take the time I need to heal, but also for my team to know that we have a system that will allow the business to go on even if one person is missing. And so I would highly encourage you to think about that, because I clearly didn't know. I mean, I had gone down to the basement for a tornado alarm many times before, even this year, and not had to worry about anything. I mean, we came back up after a few minutes when everything was clear and everybody was fine. Obviously things can change in an instant. So, maybe you don't live in the Midwest. Maybe thankfully you don't have to worry about tornadoes, but we've got all kinds of other unexpected things that can happen within your team, not just to you, but to your team members as well. And so I would highly encourage you to think about what would happen to your team if you were not there, if any one of your team members was not there, because the power of the system is that we're not building our business to be run by any one individual or be dependent on any one individual. Now, yes, if I was gone for an extended period of time, months, years, this may be a whole different story. But to be able to have a business that can run for a period of time without one individual is a huge asset. And I can't tell you how much more comfortable I felt being able to take the time I needed, how much more comfortable my team felt knowing that they knew what they were doing and were able to take care of things while I was gone. It is a huge blessing, a huge asset, and a huge ability that we have to be able to do that. And so I want that for all of you. So if you feel like you're not in that situation, if you feel like your team is maybe not well prepared or your business is not well set up, reach out to us. I'm happy to share how we do things, what we do. We practice what we preach, absolutely. And so you'll hear a lot about, in our advice, you'll hear a lot of our own personal stories and how we've done things and how that has really benefited us. So thank you so much for your time today. I hope you've enjoyed hearing the story. It was wild. It was crazy. But I'm glad to be on the other side of it, glad to be back with you guys, and hope that you all have a great afternoon. We'll see you soon.